People are confused about what is coaching, what is it not, who is it for, who should take it, does it benefit? There's a lot of questions.
The beauty about coaching is it is a process of self discovery and self awareness through questions that the coach asks. They are here to enable you to discover your own answers, create your own strategies, and help you stay on track. I have firsthand witnessed a kind of spark of incredible transformations that coaching can bring about. Who will charge 3,000 rupees, 500 rupees, 30,000 rupees, 1 lakh rupees for that same 1 hour? To have that level of active listening that you don't need to see the person to understand what they are going through.
Yeah, we are live. Hey, Dipali, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi, Ranak. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. I'm excited about today because, like we were chatting offline, I'm a student. I want to learn today. I want to learn all about coaching. And for everyone listening in, that's a little bit of context what we are going to talk about today. Dipali is an expert among many things. I'll let her do her intro. But one being coaching. And coaching is something that I'm super interested about, and a lot of people in my circle are. But there's a lot of sort of people are confused about what is coaching, what is it not, who is it for, who should take it, does it benefit? There's a lot of questions, and I thought it's great to have you on and sort of discuss the various nuances of coaching, and hope it helps somebody make either a journey into coaching or take coaching, right? Because from what I've experienced and seen, it's an amazing thing that everybody should consider. So cool. Excited, Dipali. Before we start, quick introductions. Who is Dipali and what is Dipali up to for everyone listening in?
Absolutely. Thanks again, Ranak. I'm equally excited. I don't know about the expert bit. I'm a learner like yourself. So I'm just going to share a little bit about my journey with you when it comes to coaching. All right. A little bit about me. I lead the brand Quintess Advisors, which specializes in coaching, HR, and OD strategy and advisory. I come with about
Mhm.
2 decades of diverse multi industry experience where I worked with sectors like retail, healthcare, pharma, education, edtech, social impact, and tech-based startups as well. And I focused at that point of time mostly on HR strategy and OD. I've also collaborated with a lot of startups and mid-sized and enterprises to tailor and reevaluate their strategies, so to speak, to focus on the positive growth. My expertise has been, in addition to HR and OD, a lot of mergers and acquisitions and change management. And I'm passionate about DEI and corporate governance as well, with an inclusion of POSH. In addition to my HR bit, I'm a business and leadership coach, and I work with business owners and leaders to help them navigate the entire landscape of both professional and personal as well. Beyond that, I'm an independent director. I'm on the board of advisors of a couple of companies, and I'm a mentor as well. So yeah, that's about me.
Well, thanks for sharing. I think we'll have you back on another episode talking of other things. But for today, let's dive right in, right? The meat of what we are discussing, just off the bat, right? For anyone who's listening in who doesn't know, right, has no idea what coaching is. Quickly, like what exactly is coaching, and also that begs the second part: what is coaching not? Everyone, I hope you're having a great day. First of all, apologize for breaking the flow of the conversation, but I just wanted to thank all of you for tuning in, listening to what I do. And if you still haven't subscribed and you're listening to this, I strongly urge you to subscribe. It really helps small traders like us to keep going. I've been doing this for almost a year now, and a small subscribe would really help. But the reason why I wanted to take this pause is because I have an announcement. If you guys even remotely enjoy the stuff that I do, all these conversations with guests that I have, whatever I write on LinkedIn, my thoughts, you're really going to enjoy this monthly newsletter that I've started. This is something that I've very recently started where I share whatever I've learned over the course of the past 1 month, everyone I've spoken to, all the articles I've read, and whatever I find interesting, I share it on the newsletter. It's a if you go and check it out. I leave the link below. It's on my website called www.thecurious.show. If you go there, you can sort of subscribe. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for supporting me. Now back to the show.
Absolutely. So, coaching essentially is a collaboration between the client and the coach. It's a partnership between them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is squarely
Mm-hmm.
focused on the client's goals, whether they are personal or professional. And the beauty about
Mm-hmm.
coaching is it is a process of self discovery and self awareness through questions that the coach asks. And these questions need to be timely, they need to be insightful and powerful. And that comes through a process of being actively listening to what the client has to say. All right. The and this is the key for me, because the entire process of coaching starts with that bit of, number one, obviously the client wanting to strengthen something, overcome some aspect of their life, or move to the next level. And the
Mm-hmm.
foundation of that is self awareness. Okay, once they reach or elicit that self awareness is when we move on to the next stages of creating goals, figuring out what the obstacles are, working on strategies to overcome those obstacles, and also have personal accountability from the client's side.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty about coaching is it is completely client driven. The client is in the driver's seat. We are there along with the client as a coach to be like, what do you say, like a GPS, so to speak, right? We are helping
Mm-hmm.
them reach that destination that they are looking to reach. And obviously through that you have different routes. You may not have that same, again going with the analogy because I started the GPS thing, you may not have this
Yeah.
direct route, right? You're going through different either in like gullies or small little areas that may not actually go directly to that end goal. So that is what coaching is all about. And what it
Mm-hmm.
is not is the coach will not tell you what to do. They will not advise you. They will not lead you. It is, they are here to
Okay.
enable you to discover your own answers, create your own strategies, and help you stay on track. How it is
Mm.
distinct, it is also distinct from therapy, from consulting, from mentoring. Although they do share a few similarities between each of them, ultimately it's about enabling the client to find solutions that will help them reach their full potential. Does that answer your question, or was
Mm.
it too convoluted for you?
No, no, no. So what I'm hearing is, and it's interesting that that we have the answers ourselves, right? It's like we know it. We are probably too caught up in our heads, or we don't know, right? We have that jumbling of wires in our heads, and the coach is there to sort of streamline it, help you, and yeah, a lovely analogy, right? You're in the GPS, you're in the gullies, and gets you on the highway, right? Is that a correct sort of understanding?
Absolutely. Wherever you want to reach it, we follow the path that you want to take. Like, for example, this was a mandated session for one of a client that was through her company, and she came in,
Mm-hmm.
and it was only a chemistry session. We hadn't really started coaching yet, and she came in and said, "I don't really have anything to talk about. There's nothing on my mind." And by the end of it, kind of things that we unpacked, because she started speaking, and then each word was picked up, or certain words were picked up. By the end of it, we had like 5 to 6 different things that we would work on in the coming sessions, because many times we don't even realize that there's so much in our mind, or there's so much that we need to, like you said, unpack and work on.
Hmm. Chemistry session. So I'm assuming that's like the first intro session that the two of you get to know each other.
Yes,
Interesting.
yes.
Okay, you just mentioned something, coaching, counseling, and mentorship, right? Yeah, coaching, counseling, mentorship. They feel same. They're not. But would you explain, like, what exactly these three are? You already explained what coaching is, but how
Yeah.
is it different from a mentoring and a counseling?
So I had mentioned, I think, therapy and consulting and mentoring,
Ah,
right?
therapy
So
also.
yeah,
Therapy
yeah.
also, yeah.
So, therapy is essentially addressing mental health, emotional, or behavioral concerns that a person has, and
Hmm.
focused on healing. It often delves into the past experiences or on the person, and it is more about resolving underlying psychological challenges, and it is more problem focused. Whereas
Okay.
consulting, again, is more from an expertise perspective. You're advising, you're giving solutions to specific problems, right? And it is, again, mostly from a business organizational kind of a framework. Then you have mentoring, again, a great way for someone to learn from another person who's more experienced, to guide you either through your career development, where you want to go from a
Hmm.
professional, and maybe also personal growth standpoint of it. But in every space, someone else is the expert. In coaching, we
Mm.
feel you are in the driver's seat, like I mentioned. You are the expert. You need someone to help you discover your strengths, discover what is your limiting beliefs, and help you overcome those. This is the simplest explanation that I can give in terms of difference.
Got it. Got it. I have a question on who can do coaching, but let's come to that. Before that, so I know of leadership coaching, but are there various other forms of coaching? Or rather, let me put it this way for everyone listening in. What are the forms of coaching that's available?
There are so many different types of coaching, Ranak. The most common
Uh-huh.
one being life coaching, which
Okay.
encompasses a lot of other smaller aspects as well. You have intimacy coaching, you have career coaching, you have non-violent form of coaching,
Hmm.
you have people who are dating coaches, work-life transition, then you have health coaches. There it is anything that you parenting coaching, young adults coaching, right? So there are different types of coaching, and also the kind of coaching that I focus on, that is either performance, leadership, or business coaching as well. So not only
Hmm.
are there different niches or types of coaching, there are also different methods and processes that people use to to kind of go through that coaching session or coaching journey with their clients. You
Hmm.
have the most famous of them, or the most known of them, which is the ICF method. Then you
Hmm.
have the Marshall Goldsmith. There are multiple different ways of coaching. Then in terms of how to go about, also there's something called transition coaching, where you're guiding people on specific life transitions. It can be a career transition, it can be a life event, it can be transactional also, that is your goal setting, time management, something as simple as that. It can also be
Hmm.
transformational, where it goes far more deeper, and there is a fundamental shift in perspective, in mindset, in beliefs, value systems also. And it's also about adapting to that change and kind of evolving into a new you. So that is these are there's
Hmm.
a whole basket of things that's happening.
You mentioned ICF, Dipali. You want to sort of double click a little on what is ICF, because I'm sure listeners have seen this, right? People get this certification. What exactly is it?
So ICF, International Coaching Federation, once you go to an institute and get your base
Hmm.
certification, or you go through something called the portfolio path, that is another different topic. The portfolio path, people who are interested can research about it, right? Then you need to have X number of hours of coaching. Once you complete those X number of hours of coaching, whether you're going for the first level, that is ACC or PCC or MCC, there are different levels. As you
Hmm.
get experienced, you move through these different levels. So when you're ready to get credentialed for that ACC, you need to make an application to ICF. You also will need to submit a recording, and post that you'll need to give a test as well. Now, ICF is not limited to just credentialing. They have a huge network. There are a lot of knowledge-based sessions that happen. There are a lot of there are multiple what do you say? Not committees, but there are multiple in different countries and different states. They have bodies that
Okay.
uh, run on behalf of ICF as well. So
Okay.
I'm not getting the right word. Not committee, but basically the body, right? That helps with
Got it. Understood.
yeah,
Association kind of. Yeah.
association, thank you very
Got it.
much.
Yeah.
Association that helps with pushing and getting more coaches in, or facilitating coaches journey in this entire framework.
But are they only leadership coaching, or it can be again whatever paradigm it is?
Anything.
Anything. Okay. Got it.
This
So
is not
okay.
limited.
Okay.
Yeah, this see what your niches are is up to you and me. You
Okay.
It has
Understood.
nothing to do with ICF per se. What ICF is, ICF has a set of core competencies. It has a set of ethics that it expects every coach to follow. Okay, and it is
Hmm.
like
Okay.
what you say, like a governing body, so to speak, but with multiple
Hmm.
other factors as well, like knowledge sessions. Like I said, you have your associations, your committees, basically helping
Hmm.
coaches through their coaching journey.
Understood. Got it. We'll come back to the nuances of coaching, but
Yeah,
I'm curious, Dipali, like what got you in this journey of coaching? Like, what was your why?
my why. When what happened was, becoming a coach wasn't really something that I initially planned. It was more of a national progression and an extension of what I was already doing. Because as a strategist and a mentor and an advisor, I work with a lot of business owners and leaders, to help
Mm-hmm.
them from more of a functional or a strategy expertise or a growth standpoint, so to speak. But somewhere along the way, I started to notice that something is missing and I couldn't put my finger on what it was, and something beyond this entire functional or technical expertise bit, right? And it just felt a lot more deeper in terms of exploration, because I could see all your normal techniques of how to do conflict resolution, or going a little deeper and things like that weren't really working. And not really working, it had to do from their own experiences, their own beliefs, mindsets, perceptions, etc. And I think maybe, and I was noticing this for a couple of years, and somehow, I don't know, maybe you know how it is, right? Confirmation bias, or you start seeing things that you're thinking about. I started
Mm.
hearing whispers about coaching. It was in the
Mm.
periphery. I didn't really know too much about coaching, and I started hearing whispers about it. And to be honest, at first I wasn't very convinced. I was quite skeptical, and I thought I already know about mentoring. Already know about advising is a little too self-serving, but I already know about this bit of it. How different can coaching be? And also, we need to remember that coaching is still used interchangeably with mentoring and facilitating and training. There's still that clear
Mm.
distinction is
Mm.
not there. So when I started hearing, I
Mm.
thought it was the same. And
Mm.
basically, what happened was a curiosity got better of me, and I decided to kind of dive in and see what is coaching all about. And boy,
It's
was
always the
I
best answer.
and I was really, in for a surprise, because let me tell you, coaching just blew me away. It was an entire new world. It wasn't about giving advice. It wasn't about solving other people's problems for them. It was working with them and enabling them to find that power of finding their own solutions, challenging their limiting beliefs, helping them step into their full potential that they didn't, themselves did not realize that they have, right? And
Mm.
it is very nuanced, Anak, let me tell you, because I remember my first mock coaching session that I had when we were doing our the entire course, right? And I thought I was being extremely intelligent and insightful in my questions, but the person on the opposite side felt like she was being interrogated. Okay, and she told me as such, because obviously it was like it was a learning
Mm.
session, right? And for me, it was such a humbling experience, because coaching takes the art of listening to a completely different level. Okay, it is not what
Mm.
we talk about, like, we constantly talk about active listening as HRs, right? But this is
Mm.
just another level. When to ask the questions, what questions to ask, because if you pick up the wrong thread, you're going somewhere else. And it is also about
That's
creating a
interesting.
safe space for that entire transformation to happen. And we need to remove that mentor hat when we go into coaching. That's one thing that I realized in my first couple of sessions. You cannot lead, you cannot be a mentor, because you're completely doing disservice to the client who's come to you.
You keep saying you cannot lead. Do you want to double click little just out of my curiosity? What does that mean?
So it means, let's say you come to me with a concern.
Uh-huh.
Most of us, what happens is, especially when we've been doing what we've been doing for so long, we've more or less heard most of it, we've experienced most of it
Mm.
through others or through ourselves, and we assume that this is, or we know that this is how you should be solving that problem. We know that
Okay.
this is what the end goal is. So leading means I'm asking you questions to lead you to an outcome that I feel is favorable,
Okay. I get it. Okay.
right?
Got it.
And
Mm.
you and those witnessing those aha moments, right, also, and
Mm.
those breakthroughs and those shifts in perception, that is what kind of like really fuels the inspiration to go on coaching, run up, to be honest.
So let's continue this thread because I know at least one, two, three, four people whom friends, colleagues who are not very senior, right? They're like 4 or 5 years experience. They've told me like I want to get into coaching. I want to do coaching, right? And
Hmm.
uh, maybe you're talking just to these 4 5 people because I know they're subscribers. I hope they listen in. What sort of how do I put it? What advice would you have, right, for them and anybody who's considering going into, let's say, coaching, right?
Hmm.
What would you advise them?
Okay, so there are a couple of aspects to this. I will look at it from, and these are people who are looking to go in for coaching, right? This is
Correct,
the
correct, correct,
interest
correct. Yeah, yeah,
set of
yeah.
participants. All right. So I'll break it down into two parts. Number one is the business and the learning bit. Okay. And number two is the coaching
Mm-hmm.
itself. Now, when you're
Mm-hmm.
starting off, the most important thing is do your research. When you're find a coaching institute that will align with what you want to check, do a lot of research in terms of testimonies, go online, check what people are saying about them, ensure that they are giving the right kind of training and support to you. Do not get swayed by institutes that promise earning a fortune as soon as you get that certificate. It is not going to happen. Okay, it is like
Mm-hmm.
building a coaching practice takes time, it takes effort, it takes patience
Mm-hmm.
and perseverance, like any kind of business. Okay.
Of
And
course.
especially when you go in first, see, the unfortunate truth today is, Ranak, like we were discussing previously, is that most of the coaching institutes make you between passable to good coaches and they leave you out to dry. They teach you how to coach but not the business of coaching. You can be a great coach, but if you don't know how to make the money, right, what are you do? As in, it's about two things. One is about obviously helping people, but at the end of the day, you're also in it to kind of build that business and build a name for yourself in coaching, right? So I'm talking about the
Mm.
business aspect of it and also how to find that institute. So it is very, very important to find the right institute, because I've heard horror stories of where people have paid money, they haven't got classes well, or they've just finished the theory classes, have not gone on to training and mentoring and things like that, because ICF also has specific number of hours that you need to do each of these. Okay, so very,
Okay.
very important to do that research bit, right? The next thing is also find a good mentor either within the institute or from outside as well, because at least there are really good institutes that help you through the entire process, very, very in depth, at a very, what do you call, at a very core level. So
Okay.
there you don't have too much of a problem, and those are few. I can count the number that are there on my hand, to be honest. So again, help yourself by finding a good mentor coach. I'm talking about a mentor coach who can guide you once you finish that, once you go to the entire institution and finish the certificate, because you do feel a little lost, you do feel like a fish out of water, because you finished it. Now what do I do next? And yeah, so that's it. That is a bit of it from the business and the research part of it, learning part of it. The second is the approach to coaching. You need to have an open mind, you need to be unbiased, you need to be willing to learn, because you are constantly evolving. Also, like anything that you're doing, you have to constantly upskill yourself, whether it is coaching, HR, anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have to do that. You need to leave your judgments at the door, focus on your clients and the solutions that you're helping them achieve. You may
Mm.
feel that you know what is happening in that person's life, you may know what the end, what they want to achieve, but we need to remember that it is their journey, not ours. That is one thing that we
Mm.
need to remember. We should not mesh those two,
Okay.
and that is very, very important to do as a coach. Be completely present for them.
That was great. Okay. This was very tactical, little broad. If I extend this, anyone listening in, right?
Hmm.
Who should actually consider even, right, that they want to get into coaching?
Got it. Okay, so interestingly, I have seen people from all walks of life who have become incredible coaches. It can be someone with years of experience, it can be someone with experience, knowledge, real world insights, everything. But
Mm-hmm.
it can also be someone who comes with a little bit of experience also.
Okay.
Because the idea of coaching is like, for example, if it is someone who does not have too much of professional experience, they may have a lot more empathy or intuition to work with people, right? Ultimately, it
Mm-hmm.
is not really about your resume. It is your willingness to learn and your commitment to your clients and your belief that in the power of the
Mm.
human potential. Okay. And
Mm.
basically, see, as a I do agree that maybe for me at this point of time, it is better that I have some sort of a backing or an expertise, because that gives me some level of comfort. But when you see coaches who are at a much higher level, they don't come from a space of expertise in a specific industry or something like that. They're looking at it from a very holistic point of view.
Mm.
Okay, and this, let me tell you, is a debate for ages. This happens. In fact, just the other day on one of our groups, we were having this conversation of, do you need to have expertise, or can I be a complete no voice when it comes to coaching? And both answers are right.
Hmm.
Okay, it is just, again, maybe the expertise bit will give you real world experience on how to go about building that network business and things like that. And when
Hmm.
you're on a voice, you're more focused on the coaching, but you may not know the other aspects. So it's a combination of both.
Hmm.
Anyone who believes in helping people can become a coach. And like
Hmm.
I said, unbiased and judgment free. It is very important. You cannot bring in your baggage into a coaching conversation.
Off the
Does that
bat,
answer your question? Sorry.
it does. It does. I'm saying off the bat, it would seem like someone who's an expert in the industry would make a great coach. But you're saying that's not true, right? I mean, I can see why. Understood. Understood. By the way, Dipali, there's sorry, you're saying something.
Yeah, so I thought that as well, which is why I
Hmm.
went in with my niche. When I went in to do my course, I went in with my niche
Hmm.
saying that, hey, this is what I'm going to do. But when I saw
Hmm.
my peers in the cohort, I realized there's so much more that can happen, because at the end of the day, it is about you understanding the coaching process itself. Okay, it's about mastering that
Hmm.
active listening. It is coming from a place of understanding what those questions are, when to ask them. Like, I know I'm repeating
Hmm.
this bit because I cannot emphasize on how important it is.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I went in with the same idea, but I do believe it, because I do see other coaches who do not understand a lot of nuances that happen across the board. But also there are a lot of coaches who come from a very ontological kind of standpoint and things like that, where they feel they are able to kind of help anyone, but you need
Hmm.
to kind of go through that experience to even reach that level.
Understood. Got it. Uh, that while I was asking you this question, I thought of another one.
Hmm.
See, this is like it's a myth, right? What I just said, sort of
Hmm.
like those random myths that you have about coaching again, because not enough is said about the topic.
Yeah.
This very clearly was what that I need to be an expert in this field, otherwise I can't be a coach. I need to be experienced, otherwise I can't be a coach. What are the other myths that you've heard from both sides? We are talking of the
Yeah.
someone who's coaching, I don't know what it's called, but from
Yeah.
both sides, what are the myths that in your experience you've seen, heard? It'll be great to clarify them out again for folks listening in.
Absolutely. So there are so many myths, to be honest, but I kind of have these three overarching myths that are always kind of coming to me. Number one is, honestly, I think the biggest myth is saying that coaching is only for people who are struggling or have something wrong with them. But it is not like that. It need not be that you're in crisis to benefit from coaching. Okay, it could not be further from the truth. In reality, coaching is for anyone who wants to grow, who wants to improve, who wants to kind of reach that potential that they know that they have. It is for people who are already successful and want to achieve more. It is for people who are stuck and want to gain that clarity and direction. It can be for people who want to improve their leadership skills, improve their stakeholder relationships, or simply put, live a more fulfilling life, right? Think about this. Even
Hmm.
top athletes have coaches, right? They are already incredibly
Right.
talented, but they
Yeah.
still have the guidance, the support, and accountability to
Hmm.
reach that peak performance, so to speak.
Hmm.
So that is one myth. The second one is, there's a myth that says only certain kind of people can benefit from coaching at a certain level. They feel that only, like, I've heard a lot of people who say, I've just, and this comes from a lot of young adults or people who've just stepped into the workplace, saying that, is this only for managers? Is it only for leaders? That kind of a thing. So,
Hmm.
it is not for a person at a particular level. Okay, I've worked with, and this is over my last couple of years of journey, I worked with young adults who are still in their MBAs, right? I worked with first time managers, people going
Okay.
through workplace transitions. I work with, like I already mentioned, founders and leaders. So their entire spectrum,
Hmm.
anyone can be, can take the benefit of coaching. So that is one thing.
Hmm.
All right. And the third myth that I am passionate about busting is that people think that coaching is extremely gentle encouragement. It is feel good affirmations. It is a soft and floozy kind of an experience, right? They feel that it's
Hmm.
like just a cozy chat with no substance, so to speak. But again, one could not be more wrong in understanding that, because I have firsthand witnessed a kind of spark of incredible transformations that coaching can bring about. I've seen clients overcome crippling self-doubt, crippling self-confidence, like they were not able to move forward, they were that stuck navigating toxic
Hmm.
workplaces to fulfilling careers. And these aren't just minor tweaks, right? A lot of it is profound shifts that create a lasting impact. But that being said, not everything needs to be transformational.
Hmm.
It can be a transaction or transitional as well. Like, for example, I mentioned goal setting or time management, or having a specific issue with your manager. That can also be something that can be
Hmm.
coaching, right? Here I do want to give an example of something, of a specific case that is very, very dear to me in terms of complete transformation. There was this founding member of a
Hmm.
startup, right? And he was being asked to step back or take a smaller role because of his presence, okay, because of the way that he
Okay.
was projecting or not projecting himself within, both internally and externally in the company. His stakeholder management and team management was at the absolute low. But from the
Hmm.
day that we started to now, I think it was about a 5 to 6 month journey, right? Today he's taken over the building and the creation of a completely new business unit, okay, and he's spearheading the
Hmm.
whole thing and is the face of it as well. So that entire transformation is just so beautiful to watch from their perspective also, right? And this is the fourth final myth, is that it is coaching is an immediate solution. You get solutions
Hmm.
like this.
Hmm.
Coaches are not don't have magic wands. It is about how intent you are and how quickly or slowly you want to kind of go through that process.
Hmm. It's amazing. You said something very interesting at the end, intent, right? Let's double click a little on that, because a lot of it, what I'm hearing, see, if the whole thing is self discovery, right, then intent should be number one, right? Intent to first do this, intent to take action on it.
Hmm.
Um, but that intent is not always there. Forget about getting into it, right? Let's say somebody has started coaching,
Hmm.
but you hear this word, right? They are uncoachables, right? The person cannot be coached.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
What is that trait like? Have you seen that in your experience? Who is uncoachable, and what can we do about it?
All right, great. So, I believe personally that most people are coachable, okay, as long as they are willing to go.
Okay.
And like you mentioned that word intent, they have that intent to embrace the change and put in the effort, okay. But let's be
Hmm.
honest, there are people who might find it a little tougher to jump into this entire coaching process, because either they are too stuck in their ways, they believe that they know best,
Hmm.
right? They don't have that curiosity to learn more about themselves or what is happening. And these are the kind of people typically that might find coaching challenging. Okay, they may be also just not quite ready. Sometimes it is also about the right timing, right? And
Okay.
like I
Hmm.
said, I hesitate to use the word uncoachable, because I truly believe that the right approach and the right time, anyone can benefit with from coaching.
Understood. Right time. What do you mean by that? Is there like a right time for someone?
Okay, so when I mean right time, I mean from a perspective of I may not be ready. I may
Hmm.
not be mentally ready to be coached. Okay, I mean time from that perspective. Okay, sometimes what happens is we may be having conversation, and I'm sure you also would have seen it. You might be telling
Hmm.
somebody something, or someone is telling you something to in terms of advice, but it never hits you, or you may listen to it, but you don't
Hmm.
really act on it until you actually reach that point that makes you act on it. That is what I mean in the sphere of time or the space of. Does that make sense?
So talking of, it does, it does. So talking of mentally being ready, right? I know for a fact. Again, I don't know why I know so such cases, but people who senior people, right? I spoke of junior folks, senior people who I paraphrase. Yeah, I don't have time, right?
Hmm.
I don't have time for this. I know it's good, but I don't have time for this. I'm overwhelmed, etc., etc. Right? Which is true, right? Of course, time is the biggest constraint. But what would you say to these business leaders? Like, and purely tactical point of view, how, if they want to do this, they clearly want to do this, but they think that it's going to take up so much of my time niye, mental bandwidth niye, and all of that. What would you tell them, right? Who want to take this plunge but aren't?
Hmm. That's a very good question, because especially when the corporates kind of get me in to have that conversation, there's a lot of resistance as well in terms of time. But I
Hmm.
totally
Yeah,
get
yeah,
it.
yeah. I'm sure.
The
Uh-huh.
leaders are juggling so much, and it just feels like adding coaching to the entire scheme of things is just another commitment. And it's like, oh my God, this is something more that I need to do, right? And I get
Yeah,
that. I get
yeah.
that feeling. But here's the thing, right? Coaching isn't just about adding more to your plate. It's about helping you manage what's already there. Uh, More effectively.
Hmm.
Coaching can be a powerful tool to help clear that mental clutter, to become more efficient and focused, and not less. In fact, it is taking that
Hmm.
first step and taking that leap of faith, so to speak, especially from a leadership perspective, right? Because for busy leaders, a coaching session can be actually a valuable time where they can step back, reassess their priorities, relook at strategies, and have conversations. I remember this coaching conversation where we actually crafted an entire strategy of I think the first level of reorg that this person wanted to do, but was stuck for multiple other reasons in their mind. They
Mm-hmm.
thought certain things could not happen and it was not possible. But we actually did a strategic kind of reorg start in a coaching session itself from a business perspective, right? So it gives you that
Mm-hmm.
space to have a conversation with someone who will be taking you through that entire process as well. It's not just, like I said, it's not just
Hmm.
limited to personal. It is also, you can also have sessions with, and this is where the expertise bit comes in from a coaching standpoint, right? Helping people build their businesses and things like that. So if they take that
Hmm.
first leap of faith, okay, then they will be able to see that beauty in coaching.
Hmm. Understood. So, if someone wants to get into coaching leaders, it's helpful, right, for them to come with
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
experience. Otherwise, it's going to be slightly tricky, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
leaders will probably not take them seriously. Okay, I know I'm jumping multiple threads here,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Sure.
while you were talking, something just hit me, right? See, you do this coaching, right? There's a series of sessions, discovery, right? But what's the outcomes? Is there a way to tangibly measure like success of coaching from both perspectives, who's receiving it as well as the coach?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is a major, what we call a question or marker in any coaching
Okay.
conversation. Once we establish what the client wants to actually focus on in that session or over a period of time, okay,
Acha. Okay.
we have to bring in what their measure of success looks like for them. Okay,
Hmm.
it can be a combination of where they are today and what do they think and feel, both from a tangible and intangible perspective, at the end of a session or series of sessions. How, what would,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, that measure of success be? And once we finish those, the one session or multiple sessions, and we reach that, okay, then we
Hmm.
know, yes, we've actually reached that. What I've already said is going to be my measure of success. I've achieved that, rather.
Got it. Understood. Got it. So that's clear then. Like, I mean, you want to, so you said at the beginning, right, that I'm doing this because I want to get to X, right? And you've got to X, right? Okay, that's very clear. What? Okay, I again another thread, another segue. 15 20 minutes back, we were speaking of the business of coaching, right?
Hmm.
I want to go back to that again for people listening in, for myself also, right? Because I have been considering this myself. What's the business angle to it? What do I mean is, let's in two parts, right? One, how does one go about building a business on coaching? And I don't know if you're allowed to talk of what sort of like the revenue streams that one would expect as they go along in their coaching journey, if you are allowed to talk.
There are enough and more research articles on the
Okay.
on what it charges, but there's not so much from, I think, Indian space. No, I no there is a there are a lot of research papers or articles that come out on what you can expect in terms of revenue. Okay,
Acha.
uh, so that is one part of it. The second part of it, and this is, let me tell you from my own journey, right? When I started off coaching, for some reason there was not too much of confidence in what I was doing. okay, in terms of coaching when I first started out. And I was unable to charge what was even the basic average, because I felt I wasn't good enough. Okay, for whatever reason,
Oh, okay.
limiting belief. Okay,
Okay.
let's say that
Okay.
limiting
Okay.
belief.
Yeah.
Okay, so the value that you obviously there, see, there are people who will charge 3,000 rupees, 500 rupees, 30,000 rupees, 1 lakh rupees for that same 1 hour. Okay, it totally depends
Wow.
on multiple
Okay.
things. Okay, it depends on what kind of value you are giving, what kind of value you think you are giving. Okay, and obviously the other person's the complexity of the issue and the other person's paying power. Okay, so it is
Hmm.
these
Hmm.
multiple layers. But number one, you need to believe that the value, that the amount that you're charging, you should be confident in yourself. Because a lot of that, I
Hmm.
don't think people will pay me, stems from a lot of underconfidence.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And you need coaching for that to sort of
Absolutely.
get rid
Oh
of
yeah,
that
yeah,
belief. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Understood. But Dipali, what about the second one? Like, how does
Hmm.
one build a business around it? Like, is it the usual stuff you
Correct,
do,
sorry.
BD, B2B, B2C? How does that work?
It's like building any other business, Ranak. It's no different from that. Okay,
Hmm.
it is about, because number one is see, again, it when you're just starting off, right? Number one, people need to know that you're in the coaching business. How do you do that? You start coaching people, you get referrals, you're making yourself visible on different forums, whether you
Mm-hmm.
start it's basically about showcasing that you're there, this is what you're doing, and getting people to come in for coaching, right? It is like you said, it is that BD, it is that visibility, it is creating a proper what do you call that, program or price point kind of a thing. So
Hmm.
have you heard of BMC?
BMC?
That is the business
No.
model canvas. Okay, it's a
Oh,
beautiful
okay.
tool.
No.
Okay, it's a beautiful tool. This is one someone who's I'm part of multiple coaching communities, and one of a mentor in one of the coaching communities. I sat down with her and she walked me through this BMC. Okay, it's a beautiful visual tool. Like for someone like me who's visual, it really helped me. So it helps you break down what are who your customers are, who do you think your customers should be, how are you going to reach them, what are the collaborations you need to get into,
Acha. Okay.
right? So it kind of, you need to put down. And again, same way, like when I first did it, I thought I already knew most of my answers, because by then I already had started, that the HR bit of my business. But she kept asking me questions again and again and again. And it was, my responses were very surface level. Then I went deeper down into each customer segment. Okay, into that because let's say that I said that I want to do workplace transitions. Okay, workplace transition can be anything. It can be a person who's coming into the organization, it can be person within their journey, it can be person who's someone retiring or leaving or being retrenched, right? There are so many aspects to it, and the way you're going to put that messaging across for each of these people within that transition itself is different. So, how many lines of conversations would
Okay.
you be able to have? Prima facie, you may say that a leader and a business owner may be the same. They may be the same, but the conversation that you would need to have with a business owner or a leader to get them to come to you from a coaching perspective will be very, very different. uh, when
Hmm.
i
Hmm.
when I started coaching, I thought it would be, it would be an added layer for my consultancy business. Now it's become that. But when I started, people were a
Hmm.
little confused. Is Dipali wearing the HR hat? Is she wearing the coaching hat? What's happening there? So the your audience may
Hmm.
be the same, but the messaging needs to be very, very different,
Hmm. Understood.
right? So
Got it.
hmm.
Hmm.
No, that's it.
Many carry on. Carry on. Got
No,
it.
no, I
Got it.
was just saying
You
that
mentioned
BMC really
something.
helped me. Sorry.
Acha. Got it. Got it. I've used to, when you say BMC, and think Bombay Municipal Corporation. Keep in mind, that's why I
Nahi,
got a bit
not that
confused there.
BMC.
I was like, is that a client? But while you mentioned something, and this will
Hmm.
probably be helpful for folks. You mentioned about coaching communities. Just a quick off the bat, like what are all the coaching communities that you are aware of, that you're a part of, or whatever it is?
So I'm part of multiple coaching communities. Okay, so some of them are from, let's say, from the certain of the institutes that have their own communities, right? Then there is a set of people who wanted to help coaches, because like I said, a lot of time, as soon as you go get out of your institute, you're lost, you're completely lost, you don't know what to do, what's happening next. So I'm part of builder team of one community, where the person who started it realized that not just do they need hand holding in terms of what to do next, it's constant knowledge sharing, because there are so many questions,
Hmm.
what do I do, how do I do, what should I do next, are these price points okay, am I doing the right thing in terms of business strategy, all those kind of conversations happen. We do a lot of knowledge sessions, we get authors in, to talk about their book. Okay, I'll come
So
back to
what's the
that.
name of
Yeah.
this one so people can research on this?
So one is coaching journey. Okay, it's on
Okay.
LinkedIn as well. Then, but these are again only for people who have already completed their certification and they are starting their coaching
Ah,
journey,
okay.
right? Then you have the coaching circle, which was started by Shrikant. Again, a phenomenal group where you get to learn a lot of very different ways of kind of coaching. Then the institutes also have communities, so each institute will have its own community. Like for example, when there's also something called peer coaching, where you coach your peer who's another coach, and you kind of learn from each other. Okay, so there are
Hmm.
communities that do
Hmm.
just the peer coaching bit as well. So institutes that do just the peer coaching bit as well, so that helps you get into another community. So there are a lot of communities, you just need to kind of because research a
Hmm.
little bit, and it depends on what is your end game also, because each community has, they prima facie may have
Hmm.
the same things, but the way they go about it is very very different. Then ICF also by itself is a huge community, right? It has your local chapters, correct, the word was chapters, now it's come, so it has
Hmm.
local
Okay.
chapters and international chapters and things like that. It's also another community.
Understood. Okay. There's one thought, yeah, I think you had.
Yes, when we were talking about the business leaders not having time, right? There's this
Hmm.
lovely book called
Hmm.
Unfiltered. Okay. This book is the relationship
Okay.
between the coach and the coachee. Okay. And it starts with,
Hmm.
and the coach was asked. So the premise is basically the coachee wanted to take on, I don't remember, it's been a couple of years, but they wanted to take on a new market or responsibility or something like that, and the company said, hey, you're not yet ready for, because of certain aspects of it, or we wanted to strengthen certain aspects of it, and they got in the coach, and the coachee was extremely resistant. Okay,
Hmm.
because they came from a place of, I don't want to give spoilers, but they were resistant in the beginning, and it talks about both from a time perspective and a general mindset perspective, and it talks about that entire relationship of how the coach and coachee started off from a place of maybe disconnect and dissent, and moved to a relationship where over many years moved to a relationship where the coach is
Hmm.
also now, like, I think on the board of advisors or something like that. So it's a complete journey there. And the
Hmm.
coachee is Indian. I forget his name, and the coach is European, if I'm
Saurabh
wrong.
Mukherjee.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So
I have it open
this,
here. Anna Lurenberger and
yes,
Saurabh Mukherjee.
yeah, 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 and that gives you a brilliant view, because both of them have given their sides to the same situation also. So it's a
Hmm.
lovely play by play of how it started to how it ended. I may be wrong in a few aspects in remembering, because it's been a while since I read the book, but this is overall the overall premise.
But I'll leave the link to this book in the show notes for anyone interested. Got it. So, I have to. So, I'm somebody like delve a lot in the world of the future, right? AI, etc., etc., all of that. So I have to bring this up and ask this for every expert who's coming in. Where do you see the future of coaching going? I'll before you answer, I'll tell you few things that have given that I'm very active in the whole AI space
Hmm.
and tech space. I'm seeing there's this thought and talk of AI doing coaching, yeah, coaching, mentoring, right? Sort of like or even therapy, which is another problem. But AI bots, AI agents being trained to be able to act as, let's say, a coach, etc., what have you, right? Now, of course, it has its it has its pros, it has its cons, right? because the pros that people are talking about, especially they talk of therapy, is that it's not prohibitively, but it's very expensive, right? And there's taboo, there's stigma, people don't want to open up to people. When you make it an AI, it becomes very cheap, and people open up, right? Because it's not a human being, it's an AI on the other side. But again, what happens when the AI says something it's not supposed to say, right? And especially in therapy, it leads to more
Yeah.
problems than it is trying to solve, right? But where do you see? I just said that anecdotally. Haven't
Hmm.
heard that so much in coaching. But where do you see the future of coaching going? Right? Do you see a lot of tech coming in, or how have you seen it? Or how do you envision it, rather?
See, so in terms of AI, I've already seen certain companies, or I don't remember the names right now, but I can get them for you. Certain companies that already say they're using AI in place of a
Hmm.
human being for coaching. Like even if you go onto your Chat GPT or
Okay.
Gemini, and if I'm not wrong, on the left hand side you will
Hmm.
say act like a coach or something like that, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
You do see that, okay? But the
yeah.
thing is, we have to go with the technology. It should be a supplement, right? Your technology, your AI,
Hmm.
whatever it is, should be helping you do what you're doing well. Because see, the way I see it, maybe a couple of years down the line, but the way I see it, AI today will be able to respond to the questions that you ask, but will it be able to today see that space in that you're taking to make that response? See what your what expressions you have in the face. See, are you, you know, what you're trying to not say. Okay, I'm not sure whether
Hmm.
they are there yet. Okay, maybe it must be happening in the background, or maybe there must
Yeah.
be somewhere in the world a company already out with it. But today still people need that human connection. So I don't see AI taking it. Yes, it is going to take over, but I don't see it taking over, at least in the next couple of years, from a complete whole coaching perspective.
Hmm.
Okay, like even today, let me give a small example. I'm someone who prefers to have a conversation rather than have that AI bot on an Amazon, for example, because half the time the right
Hmm.
triggers only don't come up. Okay, so you have, I'm sure there are
Hmm.
a lot of people like me who prefer the human voice on the other side, and listen and respond empathetically as well. So yeah, that's
Hmm.
basically my answer.
Yeah, you've interesting. You've hit the nail on the head. So I just last episode I released it 2 days back. I actually did a podcast with ChatGPT, and I asked it one specific thing: what are the things that AI should not get into, right? And the number one answer for it was very clearly that areas which needs human empathy, right? Because
Yeah.
it's like today, and probably, and it says that we don't know about the future, but unlikely that AI will ever be able to understand human empathy, right? It will be able to answer questions, but it will not, like you beautifully said, that it can't understand the unsaid, right? It'll never be able to understand what is not said. It'll go by the thread of what are you speaking. And
Hmm.
from the last 1 hour, what I've understood, like that's the whole point of coaching, isn't it? Like you what is not being said, you steer towards that, right? So okay, I mean, good to know. But yeah, you're right. Like, there's no harm in being a supplement, right? Like, I can imagine if I had an AI bot and it's already there, I probably should do it. If I had an AI bot on these interviews, right, just recording, right, and
Hmm. Hmm.
later on
Hmm.
it transcribes everything, right? Because there's so much that's being said that gets lost, right? You are noting
Yeah.
everything down. It notes everything down. Maybe those are those sort of those helpful things
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
probably it can do right now, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
No, no. In fact,
Before
I.
we, yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Hmm.
No, no, go on, go on, go on, go on. Please go on.
No, in fact, to what you said, I was working with someone, and they do take a daily MOM of the meetings through, I think, Google Meet or whatever it is, and they then give a summary of it. But more often than not, the
Mm,
perspectives are not given. It is just, and most of the time I have noticed that the person has to actually go through it and correct it. It's not even the minutes of the meeting,
mm,
especially the summary is not, it misses the mark, is something that I've also noticed quite a bit.
mm.
There is this very famous coach, Malin Franklin, and when she coaches,
Okay,
she's one of the best. Okay, as in she's really, really well known,
okay.
and she's written like a book that a lot of us consider the base of coaching. Like there are many authors. Marcia Reynolds. There are a lot of really good books out there for people who want to start coaching. But I'm digressing. Coming back to the point, when she coaches on the phone, because she says that even expression sometimes may, you need to have that level of active listening, that you don't need to see the person to understand what they are going through. So that is that one different level of
Hmm.
reaching that level of coaching is maybe something I would like to achieve at some point of time.
Got it. Got it. Please give me all of these links. I'll leave them in
I
show
will.
notes for folks who are listening in. They can
Absolutely.
refer to all of this. Cool, Dipali. Before we close,
Hmm.
there's something that I am quite interested in, and I'll tell you a little backstory, right? How it has helped me. This is on first time manager coaching, right? This is a big thing in corporates today, right? It's well spoken of and deserved. It should be well spoken of, because we have a habit, and when I say we, I'm sort of generalizing, have a habit of promoting our best performers to first time managers, right? Which clearly is probably not the right thing to do. Right, and I was one, right? I was good performer, got promoted to a coach, and I lost my whole team, right? There were 10 people. Overnight I was made their manager, and within a quarter all 10 of them left because of me, right? And I became better because I got coaching, right, from my founders. I'm just like, as a sort of like a real life example. This is more for my curiosity. I don't know whether you've been a part of first time manager coachings or not, but broadly, how would, let's say, there are five six, or let's take one stereotype, one person being promoted to a first time manager. The organization rightfully mandates that, hey, you should go through this coaching, right, because the cost is too high of it failing. How would that whole journey look like, right? If we sort of do a role play and kind of just polish it out for those listening in, how would it look like?
So, like you rightly said, they come from a space of technical expertise most of the time, right? So, which means the softer
Hmm,
aspects are
hmm,
more often than not missing. So, again, see, I'm going to come back to the fact that it is the client that drives it. So, the client will say
hmm,
that, hey, these are 1, 2, 3, 4 things that I feel that I need to work on. And what also happens in coaching, you may have 5 different things that you want to work on, but we will pick what is the highest priority at that point of time. It can be the client. You can say,
hmm.
if you are the first time manager, Anak, you can say, I think team management for me is my first and foremost. But for me, I might say I'm not able to communicate what I want to say properly, especially as a go between both the stakeholders. So your problem, your concern versus my concern would be very, very different. So we that is the thread you pick on and you
Yeah,
work on. So I cannot drive it. It is you. What is your concern that we work towards achieving, or your goal that we work towards achieving?
got it.
You don't seem
So
convinced.
again, sorry, I'm coming back. No, I'm coming back to this again.
Hmm.
Let's say, like, how would I do it, right? I would say that my first time, I have a team of, let's say I'm promoting two people to be first
Hmm.
time managers. Like you
Hmm.
rightly said, they are technically very adept. And I also am aware, like, I would be aware that these are the five, six problem areas that I foresee. Is
Hmm.
that like how I would go about it as a manager? I would tell you that, okay, these are the two three problem areas, and I'm not convinced that this person, probably if we just make this person a manager, they will fail in so and so areas, right?
Hmm.
Is that how I start, and then you sort of have your series of sessions with them?
No, so I'm sorry, I lost you there. You're asking me to coach on behalf for another third person, or are you the coachee?
No, no, I am the manager. I have a team
Huh.
of two people I'm promoting from my
Hmm.
team,
Hmm.
right?
Acha. Hmm.
And you are the coach, right?
Got it.
And I want these two people to undergo the coaching session.
Understood. Understood. So what happens is there is an agreement that needs to come into play between you and
Okay.
your team member first. You all both need to say, hey, these are the points that we need to work on, and then and then this agreement will be then the coach becomes part of this agreement. Because what happens is, if you're saying something but that is not communicated and accepted by your team member, it will more often than not start off from a place of resistance, because they may not agree with your
Hmm.
evaluation. Because at the end of the day, you may be the
Hmm.
principal or the person who's paying me, so to speak, but at the end of the day, the coachee
Hmm.
is the
Hmm.
one that
Hmm.
I'm going to be working with. Another thing is, when you're creating that agreement, there will also be a stipulation of how much you as a manager will know, because every coaching conversation is confidential. Because that, like again we said, it's a safe space, right? So in the agreement
Hmm. Hmm.
that has been created, number one, all three should be on the same page. Okay, number two, what you know as the manager and what you cannot know as the manager also should be stipulated. And then
Okay.
the coaching conversation starts. Okay, and there the coachee can say, you know what, I think I'm better at this, but I want to start with point number two, for example, whatever it is, or that is more immediate, that is what I want to start with. And then we work on the agreement bit, and then the self awareness bit, then we come to a space of creating an action plan, and then an accountability. And then the accountability can be both internal and external resources
Hmm.
as well. So that is basically the process, if that was what your question was.
Got it. Correct. Correct. That's what it was. This is helpful. Got it. Got it, Dipali. This this has been quite enlightening, and I'm sure for those four people that I know, I'll make sure that they watch this. But before we wrap up, I'm sure there's going to be hundreds, like because this is important, right? And it's getting a lot of attention, also, right? There's a lot of talk about coaching. LinkedIn, I think a lot of people on LinkedIn are being vocal about it.
Yeah.
So, Dipali, where before we wrap up, like where do people find you? Where do people reach out to you, right? And any closing thoughts that you want to put forward?
So to start off with, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. My website is also available. Maybe Ranak, you can put it in the comments. That's how you can book a
I'll
slot
do
with
that. I'll
me,
do that.
or yeah,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
just reach out to me on LinkedIn. That is perfectly fine. Closing thoughts. I think coaching is an amazing space to be in from a coach perspective, and also from a coachee perspective. It is also a great place to work on long term solutions, because it's not someone else telling you what to do. You're learning by through that entire process of self discovery yourself, right? And you are creating the plans and
Hmm.
strategies to kind of take it forward. And I did keep on saying aha moments and light bulb moments that drive me, but I also want to put forth very, very clearly that these aha moments and light bulb moments are great at the beginning, but that becomes a lot more about the coach than the coachee, because you are the one who's looking to kind of go to find that
Hmm.
aha moment. Many times it does not happen.
Hmm.
It is a long, slow process
Hmm.
as well, right? So it is that incremental, what you say, transformation that is also happening. So don't if and this is especially for new coaches, don't run after those aha moments, because it's becoming about you and not about the client. Focus on the process, focus on the client, and
Hmm.
yeah, that's about it.
Amazing. Thank you, Dipali. This was amazing. This was amazing. I hope people listening in get a value out of this. Anyone who's on the fence about being a coach, hope this helps you. Please reach out to Dipali if you have any questions, if you want to learn more. I'm for sure going to reach out to you to learn more. And those who are looking to take the plunge in coaching, I think this helped you sort of steer and got you believing in that coaching can be helpful. I've taken coaching myself. I've got a lot of help from it, indirectly also, right? The manager thing I spoke about. Now, when I look back at it, it was coaching. It just wasn't put as that way, right? But
Mm-hmm.
one person sort of spent good 5 6 months with me and changed me, right?
Yeah.
I have one of the highest scores in my ENPS today from 10 people leaving me. It's purely
Wow.
attributed to an amazing person who sort of coached me. Cool. Dipali, thank you so much for coming in. This was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Ranak. Have a nice day. Bye.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.